Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Friday evening to you all. I hope you guys are doing well out there tonight and had yourselves a wonderful day. And I certainly hope you folks are having a fantastic start to your weekend. It's a pretty active start to our weekend. It's been a very active week out there in the weather world, but we're here to talk about what's going on right now. We'll spend a little bit of time on that in the beginning portion of this video. We have the ongoing blizzard right now. We'll kind of talk about what it's going to do between now and the next 24 to 48 hours. We'll give you some updated information about what's expected overnight across the Northeast. Some very strong winds, interior New England snow, and just I-95 rain. Another rain bomb is what some people are calling it up there, at least people in the weather community. It's storming pretty good across areas of the Southeast, but fortunately, the severe weather threat did not unfold really at all today across the Southeast, but it is storming pretty good at my house. At least it was about 10 minutes ago. In fact, you might hear a loud rumble of thunder at some point during this video, but that would be pretty cool, right, since this is a weather video. But anyways, we'll give you some updated information on that. We'll have a separate segment for the lake effect snow because there's a chance that we could have a pretty significant lake effect snow event across, especially like Lake Erie, Lake Ontario, but all the Great Lakes. We'll see lake effect snow once this system pulls out and some cold air moves over the bodies of water of the Great Lakes, and none of them are really froze over, so we can still get lake effect snow. We'll speak on that for you folks. Don't want to leave you guys hanging in between everything that's going on. And then a large portion of this video is going to be on speaking on updated information about this winter storm that is now forecast to happen across the South. It gets kind of iffy once you make your way a little bit further east and even northeast, but confidence is very high for areas of like the Southern Plains, South Central U.S., areas of the Mid-South, that this is going to be potentially a major winter storm. With the Arctic air and winter weather falling, this is going to cause a lot of issues. So we're going to feed you guys a lot of information on that, really dive into this, compare snowfall accumulations from different model guidance, and really check out how this could potentially evolve, eventually making its way midway next week into the eastern U.S. Could we get a big system out of this? There is still a potential for that. So we're going to talk about it all. If you folks have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. I just want to say thank y'all for the amazing support. I was just at 60,000 subscribers like on January 2nd. I'm about to hit 65 now, so the growth has been amazing. It's wild. I've made almost 2,000 videos, but I've not had a video hit 100,000 views yet. So I'm hoping sometime between now and the next 7 days I can somehow do that. The video this morning hit about 75K, but I just want to say welcome to any new viewers. It's a different type atmosphere on this channel. We're like a family on this channel. We all try to talk with one another, engage with one another, and more importantly, we pray for one another. And with that being said, if you folks got anything that I can pray about or pray over, as always, please put those in the comments below so I can do that and so others can do so too. So let's get rocking and rolling. All right, so a lot of snow falling across the Great Lakes region. We got this wraparound snow back into the Midwest. There's a lot of strong winds, even though the snow is not really as heavy anymore back here in Iowa and sort of this portion of the storm. There's a very tight gradient because Arctic air is now wrapping on the backside of this low, and this Arctic air kind of up against this low is creating a tight gradient, which is creating very strong winds, and we're still getting blizzard conditions across Iowa and the Midwest. Heavy snow now falling across the Great Lakes region out there right now. We got a lot of rain that's moving across the eastern U.S. There is some heavier snow. I saw some reports about an hour ago in northern PA, kind of northwest PA, where you were getting mixed reports of some areas were just seeing rain, some were seeing wet snow. So let me know what you're seeing up there in the comments. But this is all going to be all rain for the I-95 corridor, and it's already moving in. Going to be a rainy night for a lot of areas. But the interior Northeast, like the Adirondacks, the mountains of, they're like the green and white mountains of Vermont and New Hampshire, interior sections of Maine, could get a lot of heavy wet snow from this right off, and then it could potentially switch to a rain even for those areas. But just storms down here in the southeast, and then we just have a little bit of energy out west. But a little bit of wraparound snow. It's very, very cold in western Missouri, western Arkansas. So anything that is flying around out here kind of in the middle of the country where you're seeing some light blue returns, it's probably sticking and blowing around a lot. It's definitely windy. Watches, warnings, and advisories. We'll start out west. There's a lot of winter storm warnings. There's even ice storm warnings, and we're not going to have a whole lot of information on that. We will feed you guys new information on that when we wake up tomorrow morning. But there is a lot of winter weather alerts out west, blizzard warnings for southern Idaho, winter storm warnings in the pink. You got winter storm watches reissued out here in Colorado. But this is for what's going on right now in this region. Blizzard warnings continuing. You now have blizzard warnings that were actually issued back west in the South Dakota. Just a lot going on out here, and we'll start to see some of this get canceled probably late tonight into tomorrow morning. But as of now, it's holding strong. Winter storm warnings have now been issued for like Buffalo and like the Tug Hill Plateau areas of the Adirondacks. And this is kind of a mixture, especially down here near Buffalo, of what's going to happen between now and the next, I would say, 12 hours, and then what's coming with the lake effect snow. I think most of it, especially in this area right here, is driven off that lake effect snow. We're going to talk specifically on Buffalo in this video here later on. And remember, just take advantage of those timestamps, folks. They are there to help you guys. Winter weather advisories up for Maine, areas of New Hampshire, Vermont. I don't think they're expecting enough snow overnight into tomorrow morning for it to warrant winter storm warnings. That could change. And then, of course, you got all the high wind warnings. It's very windy out there, wind advisories. But the thing that immediately catches my eye, and we'll zoom into this when we get to this segment, look at these winter storm watches already issued for all the counties in extreme eastern Oklahoma. Almost every county in Arkansas has a winter storm watch, folks. And there's a few counties in northeast Louisiana had to have winter storm watches. The northern half of Mississippi, winter storm watches in this teal color. And then pretty much all of western Tennessee has winter storm watches. So pretty wild stuff. They are that confident, even though for these areas, it's not really going to get going until like Sunday p.m. sometime, Sunday night. So they are highly confident that a winter storm is coming. Now, some of these might get upgraded to winter weather advisories. We'll talk more on that here in a second. Let's give you some updated information about this winter storm ongoing across the Great Lakes region. All right, so we'll start off around 9 p.m. So here in the next couple hours tonight, we'll just take a look at the HRRR model. I am not hearing great things out of Chicago from this system. And, I think this morning you all got a quick, like 2 to 4 inches of wet snow. And then I have a buddy that was storm chasing in that area. Some of you folks might follow him on YouTube. He's Palmetto State Chasers. His name is Bryce. And he was chasing in the Chicago area. And by the time it was about even early to mid-morning, it done switched to rain. And it was above freezing. So I think you guys certainly did, they did not forecast a ton in Chicago. They really did not. But I think you guys, ended up getting kind of gypped from this storm, but at least you got some accumulation. Let me know what your snowfall is at the end of this system. Let me know what you got right now. But let's keep this going. We're going to get into the overnight hours. At this point, we're about 2 o'clock in the morning. I think that you do get a period. I think if you go to sleep early tonight in Chicago, you'll wake up with fresh snow on the ground and very cold temperatures, as wraparound precipitation will bring some snow after midnight into Chicago. It's still snowing like crazy in northern lower Michigan, the UP of Michigan. And this is getting enhanced already off the Great Lakes. You can already see it kind of streaming right here, and you'll really see it here in a second. Snowing for pretty much the whole entire state of Wisconsin tonight. Look at this light snow getting wrapped underneath this low that's probably somewhere in Michigan at this point. And some of this light snow all the way down to Indianapolis, all the way down into northern Kentucky will probably accumulate to a dusting because some cold air is wrapping in. And then we start to get into Saturday morning. This begins to wrap up as far as the storm portion of this, but you're left with intense lake effect snows. Look at the UP getting hit with these lake effect snows, and look at this kind of wisping band that's actually going lake to lake connection. That's when you know it's really firing off here in the Great Lakes, when it's connecting from Lake Superior down to, sometimes it connects all of them, Lake Huron, Lake Superior, Lake Michigan, all the way to Lake Erie, and then Ontario. But look at these lake effect snow bands just kind of wisping around. This is tomorrow afternoon. It is snowing still, and this is the meat of the system's gone. This is just pure lake effect snow at this point, and kind of back end energy. And you even got snow falling across Wisconsin, a very wintry like day. Look at these bands just wisping and connecting with one another. One of these days I'll get up here and chase one of these epic lake effect snow events for sure. But getting into tomorrow evening, getting into tomorrow night, we'll take it all the way into Sunday morning, and you're still getting lake effect snow up here. The orientation changes from more from the northwest to the southeast, but you go all the way to midday Sunday, and it's just starting to wind down in these favored lake effect snow areas. So this is going to add more snowfall to these areas. And this is snowfall from the blend of all models between now and Tuesday evening. This is additional snow expected. If you're kind of right here tucked into, I would say just the UP of Michigan, unless you're in kind of the southern sections of the UP of Michigan, like these regions right in here, you're good for another foot and a half, 2 feet of snow. And then You're going to get additional several inches of snow, even over a foot of snow in kind of northern lower Michigan. And this is kind of between what's going on right now and then the lake effect snow. But, Grand Rapids, I mean, you could get several inches of snow just after the storm from lake effect snow. Detroit, not going to get a whole lot from this. This is just not your storm. And I feel your pain in Ohio. I think I see that as the most commented comment in Ohio, as how you guys always get screwed. And I see it. I see it, guys. I do. Trust me, there is an emotional factor when you're a winter weather fan, just a weather fan in general, and you feel like your area just never gets it. I mean, I think you got people in Indiana that say it too. I get it. I live in South Carolina, right? And I'll talk about this more here in a second. And trust me, we're going to talk about it too. We're basically going to be the only state that does not probably see winter weather from this winter storm coming up early next week. You know how much that tears my nerves up? I'm a fan, I'm passionate about what I do, but I love to see it too. I love talking about it, and I'm happy for other people seeing snow. But when I'm the only state in the South, it bothers me too. Sometimes I feel like my state's kind of that screw zone state too. So I get it. I understand. I hear you in Ohio. You might get some back-end snow that kind of wraps into the state, maybe tonight into tomorrow morning, but it's just going to be one of those light events. Maybe a quick few inches of snow tonight in Chicago, an additional maybe few to as much as several inches of snow in Milwaukee, Green Bay. So moving past this, folks, let's talk about the Northeast. So let's take a look at what the radar shows right now in this region, if this will pull up. And I mean, you are reporting snow, even a mix down here. You're reporting snow up here in southwest New York. No reports out of Buffalo, but you're even getting some power outages because there's a lot of strong winds moving with this system also. Akron, looks like there's a report of maybe some rain, sleets, but very strong winds moving through areas of Ohio right now, getting a lot of reports of wind damage. But you get a little bit closer into here, Williamsport looks like it's snowing. Even some thunder snow just showed up down here. I mean, State College, what is that? That's State College. Yeah, State College reporting mixed rain and snow. You just had some thunder snow maybe down here in kind of the more like higher elevated regions of southwest PA. So let's get on off of this. But this is what's moving across the entire region of New England, right? So let's take a look at the HRRR model, and it's matching up pretty well. I think this will be mainly rain for Buffalo until the cold air catches up and then the winter storm is on. You continue to make your way into like later this evening. It's 9-10 p.m. I think you could get a little bit of a snow in Binghamton. I think it's possible, the Finger Lakes region. Maybe a quick slushy few inches of snow in the Catskills, Poconos. I don't see much with this. Even the Berkshires, you guys could certainly get a quick few inches of slushy snow. The Adirondacks, the Tuck Hill Plateau, I think you could get several inches of quick slushy snow. This is going to be, just a very wet snow because this is really just... this is just a very warm system in general. All rain down here, and even some storms potentially all the way up to the Delmarva. All rain moving into southern New England. And then there's that heavy wet snow. It's around 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. This is heavy wet snow falling across northern Vermont, New Hampshire, the Adirondacks of New York. It even switches to rain like maybe in the Tuck Hill Plateau sometime tonight. And I mean, even for all these areas, I mean, you start to struggle with rain. But it looks like the system is a lot drier compared to the last one, but heavy wet snow you're waking up to up here in northern Vermont, New Hampshire for our Saturday morning. And then just a quick hitting event up here in Maine. I think you stay mainly rain down here in the down east areas of Maine. Might be a period of snow tomorrow morning, but southern sections of Maine, just rain. Maine and rain. That's really close to one another. Caribou, wet snow tomorrow, and then you might even switch to rain at some point. And then look at the lake effect snows popping off. Look at them just wisping around. That is some intense lake effect snow. One thing I want to watch for, this will be late tomorrow night. And this is something that probably a lot of people is going to miss. In fact, I almost missed it until I just saw it. I think you could potentially get some sort of big snow squall that moves through. It might start in Ohio, move through West Virginia, move through PA, Pennsylvania, New York, at some point in the middle of the night tomorrow night, really the wee hours in the morning. And I think this will make it all the way to New York City. I mean, look at this. We got to watch this. It's all the way down here in Virginia. It's going through Washington, D.C. Sunday morning, going through the Delmarva Sunday morning, and then getting closer to late morning. This is blasting through Long Island, southern New England. This is something we watch. This is an interesting feature I think associated with the front. In fact, we can look at temperatures and see if this is actually associated with the front here, because I'll be completely honest with you, I'm not even sure if it is. Haven't looked this hard into it. And here we go. And yes, that is definitely the frontal boundary. Look how the temperatures dramatically drop behind it. So that is associated with the Arctic front up here. You could get an intense snow squall up here. It's going to be fascinating to watch how this unfolds. Look how those temperatures drop into the single digits in areas of western PA, West Virginia, and Ohio. So that's going to be an interesting little feature that we'll have to watch. The National Weather Service between now and tomorrow picks up on those this quick several-inch snow event, very wet snow up here in the higher elevations of the Green and White Mountains, the Adirondacks, even a few inches of snow in this favorite area in the Tuck-Hill Plateau, and then we'll get a slushy, maybe a few inches of snow tonight in this region. Does not pick up on that snow band very well. But one thing I want you to watch is watch how these snowfall accumulations begin to add up right here off Lake Erie in Ontario. See how those add up? And trust me, we're going to zoom into this region. Let's take a look at the Euro with this lake effect snow. We're going to start off by tomorrow afternoon. Check it out. Look at those bands. Look at those darker blues to start firing off. This is Buffalo, south of Buffalo, Watertown up here, Tuck-Hill Plateau, Syracuse down here, Rochester right in the middle. Watch as these bands really consolidate and really get going. And then by the time we're into Sunday evening, I mean, it's full steam ahead. And I really think they'll be probably the most intense, probably sometime Sunday. But they continue, folks, over Monday, Tuesday morning. All right, we're getting into Wednesday morning. You still got lake effect snow bands going. How intense are they going to be for this long? But we get into Thursday morning, it looks like they try to strengthen again all the way into Friday, and then we got to watch a system that comes up late next week. Man, that's like last half of this weekend, all next week event just about. And this is just snowfall accumulations predicted between now and Monday evening. Already forecasting 1 to 2 feet in Buffalo. And point south, someone could get 2 to 3 feet. Tuck-Hill Plateau blasted with what is that? I mean, 2 to 3 feet of snow. A little bit closer. A better graphic of this is between now and 7 a.m. Monday. Going for 18 to 24 inches of snow in Buffalo. Springfield just 6 to 8. Rochester, 1 to 2. Watertown 12 to 18. Lowville 8 to 12. High Market 4 to 6. And just this entire area, it's going to get hit pretty good. And just I can't say this enough. This is just between now and Monday morning. More snow could fall in these regions, folks. So, and the winds between now and Monday evening, I mean, these are projected wind gusts. I mean, in Buffalo, you could get a 65, 75 mile per hour, well, probably around a 60, 65 mile per hour wind gust. I mean, these strong winds are already moving through PA right now, and then very strong winds. So this is going to be blizzard conditions on and off. You might even get blizzard warnings at some point. A switch from winter storm warnings to blizzard warnings in some of these areas. And look at these higher peaks of Vermont and New Hampshire. Very strong winds into this area. And I certainly need to watch the coastal regions of Maine, where winds could gust to 50 to 70 miles per hour, depending on where you are, especially the down east areas of Maine. Very windy conditions. Look at Vermont. Man, very windy. You're going to probably get power outages overnight into this weekend in these areas. So, all right, folks, let's move on to this winter storm breakdown for the South. So let's talk about what's driving this. You got this huge trough digging down. You got cold air that unleashed from the Arctic, and this is diving down. So we'll start this off tomorrow evening. Cold air is surging down. The front is moving across areas of the country. What I want you to look at here is this piece of energy right here. You see how you got the blues and the greens and just what looks like just a lot of cold air, which is just a massive trough. And then you see this little extension of blue right here with almost the purple shade. That is our short wave. That is our energy. And with all this Arctic air dropping down, that is going to be our player. And watch how this kind of moves sort of southeast. You can barely see it at this point. It looks like just a little kind of extension right into here. That is our short wave pulse that initially brings some precipitation down into the south central U.S. This will ride over the Rockies and then eventually into the southern plains, and then it'll tap into some Gulf moisture right into here, and then we start to get action right into here. Okay, I know it's hard to see. Another way to look at this is like this. Here comes the energy, and it probably just switched the 18Z. It did. All right, but you can still see it. It's right there. There's the energy right here. It comes down, and then it taps into some Gulf moisture that you can barely kind of tell here, and then or winter storm is on across areas of the south. All right. You combine that energy with well below average temperatures. This is around midday Sunday, folks. This is temperatures that are anywhere from 25 to as much as 35, 40 degrees below average for Sunday. So you got moisture moving in, overspreading, and this continues. You get into Monday, it moderates a little bit, but folks, it's still cold. And then it bogs down again, and you get thrown into the freezer. So this is around Monday afternoon. You got temperatures that are ridiculously below average in the middle of January, the coldest time of the year, and you got moisture moving in. You already know this is probably going to show a winter storm, and it does. But here's a closer look at already them dropping winter storm watches in Arkansas, northern Mississippi. Just a closer look at it. This is pretty wild. I think we'll wake up to winter storm warnings. Well, I think we'll get some winter storm warnings issued probably tomorrow evening. But we might wake up to winter storm warnings tomorrow. Or you might get winter storm watches extended in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, probably into Oklahoma City, and I wouldn't be surprised into Tulsa. But they might get upgraded to advisories. But we're not going to get too far ahead of ourselves here. Let's go on and compare the model guidance and what this looks like. So we're going to start this off Sunday afternoon. You already have kind of I wouldn't say thin, but it's relatively light, I would say. A light area of precipitation. And that precipitation certainly is going to be wintry weather in the form of snow, kind of surging across western Nebraska down to northeast Colorado, down to Kansas, all the way down into like Oklahoma, Tulsa, even southwest sections of Missouri. And you keep this going, and this kind of first push associated with the initial Arctic boundary that resurges that cold air kind of moves over Arkansas. You're thinking, okay, this is not a big deal. Some freezing rains. Now this is starting to become a bigger deal, starting to break out around the Dallas-Fort Worth area, points south. And then we start to get into the middle of the night, Sunday night. Then you start to get a lot of freezing rain, kind of light, breaking out across central and northern Texas, okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to compare the Euro with the GFS. So this is just the Euro. So if you're just jumped to this portion of the video, hang tight, because the GFS is going to show something that probably, is going to blow people's minds here. But the European, this is what it's showing, a little bit on the lighter side compared to what I'm about to show you with the GFS. And you go on and get to Monday morning. Look at this moderate snow breaking out. And I'm going to say this 100 times probably. Moderate snow falling in very, very cold temperatures. Even this freezing rain showing up for the Dallas-Fort Worth area is falling in temperatures not just around 31, 32 degrees. This is falling deep into the 20s. Look at the freezing rain in southern Arkansas and northern Louisiana. And then you take it to about midday Monday. And they're starting to think there's going to be a relatively narrow area of heavy snow that's going to form somewhere. And it's really like an Arkansas through areas of western Tennessee, northern Mississippi, maybe extreme northern Alabama. We'll talk about that here in a second. Midday Monday, heavy snow breaking out across southern Arkansas, Little Rock Point south, even some moderate snow up here in northern Arkansas. And we can't ignore the snow falling in southern Missouri too, because even though it's light, it's going to accumulate on everything because it's falling in like the low teens, single digits most likely. That's how cold this air is. This isn't a marginal winter storm. This is plenty cold enough. But you keep this going, you get into Monday afternoon, snowing pretty good along the Mississippi Delta region, snowing in Memphis, and snowing all the way into western Tennessee. And we're going to show you guys and more of Tennessee and Alabama here in a second. Look at this freezing rain, heavier freezing rain breaking out across northeast sections of Texas, northern Louisiana, and then you get all the way to about Tuesday morning, and you're still dealing with a wintry mix as far south as Baton Rouge, Jackson, all the way to Meridian, and then this heads on out. What about the GFS? I'll have to back this up a little bit. I kind of teased y'all too quick there. Sunday afternoon, look at the snow breaking out across the southern plains. And then we start to get, and it kind of does the same thing as the Euro. You can kind of get this first initial push of precipitation Sunday evening into sort of where Missouri, Arkansas, Oklahoma, and Kansas sort of meet. Could be a corridor of heavier snow. This could eventually kind of get the ball rolling pretty early, kind of to round off your weekend. You could have snow already falling in Memphis. I think it's possible. The thing to really note with this is Arctic air is very dry. It squeezes out every bit of moisture as possible. So sometimes you get moisture in Arctic setups that really isn't really shown well in model guidance. And I think that's going to be the case here. I think you could have winter weather down here in North Texas already Sunday afternoon, and it's just not showing up. But, this first push goes, and you're thinking this ain't going to be a big deal. You're getting into kind of Sunday night, in the middle of the night, some light snow over Arkansas, southern Missouri, western Tennessee, and then boom, Monday morning, this thing just blossoms. You get an all-out winter storm that tries to get going even in northeast, northern Texas. And look at this sleet and the orange, freezing rain as far south as almost, getting close to like Austin. And you keep this going, and look at how this heavy snow begins to break out across extreme northeast sections of Texas, southeast Oklahoma. Look at this heavy snow into Little Rock. Memphis, you got this really thin corridor of snow right here in northern Mississippi and areas of southern Tennessee. Look at this. Sunday afternoon, it's snowing like crazy in Little Rock Point South. Wintry mix in Shreveport, and then you start to get some wintry weather down here in Jackson. And then we could get another last push behind this. We'll have to watch for this additional light snow, and this is falling in brutally cold temperatures, folks. Even if it's just very light snow, it's accumulating on everything. The roads, everything's rock solid and froze up by the time we get into Tuesday morning. And we'll have to watch that little last hurrah of moisture right here in this region. So I showed you that. Folks, we're already in range of the National Weather Service. And look at the totals they are already going for in Arkansas in this region. Already calling for a few inches of snow in southern Kansas. Just light accumulation showing up in kind of the high plains region. A lot of snow could potentially fall in the Rockies. We could get a decent snow event in Denver. We'll talk more on that here in the next day or so. And then look, they're calling for a couple inches of snow even into Texas. But, let's just go on and zoom into this area. And, let's go on and just zoom into this area in Arkansas, folks. This is wild. They are going all in on this. And I really think it's just because they even mention it. The snowfall ratios are not going to be a 10-1. They're going to be like 15-1, 20-1, which means the higher that is, the colder the temperatures the snow is falling in. But, Little Rock, they're going for 8 to 9 inches of snow, folks. You get up to Jonesboro, 5 to 6 inches of snow. Memphis, they're going for 7 to 8 inches of snow. Northern sections of Mississippi, a lot of snow. I'm excited for you guys. I'm a little jealous. I'm not going to lie. Here in South Carolina, but I'm excited for you folks. This is going to be a high impact event. We got to remember that. This is going to be a dry, fluffy snow. It's going to stick on the roads like crazy. This is one of those snows that it sticks on the roads before it does on the trees and the ground. It's kind of weird. That happened in Atlanta back in late January 2014. It got 2 inches of snow in Atlanta. It shut the entire city down because snow was falling in the low 20s. And if you look at pictures of that event, you can actually see where there was more snow on the roads than there was the ground. And that's how this event's going to be at first. I think when the snow starts to fall, it's going to freeze the roads up immediately. So it's going to be pretty wild to see if this actually verifies here. But this is a heavy hitting winter storm. They're already sounding the alarm here from the National Weather Service, typically the more conservative route, right? So pretty wild to see. And, you look at the ice totals from this, and we'll show more of Louisiana once we get into the southeast frame here. But, they're already going for 1/10 to 2/10 of an inch of ice here in these regions right here. And we will zoom into these areas probably in tomorrow evening's video when the National Weather Service kind of starts to issue some graphics that we can really check out that I always like looking at with you guys. It takes a lot longer to prepare those videos, but it always is awesome to look at because you get to see what they're saying. But a couple model comparisons here. And we're going to go for the higher end. What is it? The Kuchera. I think it's Kuchera. The Kuchera ratio. I always struggle with that word. It's always a weird word up here. I think I pronounced it right. But this always shows more of the higher end snowfall ratios, in my opinion. And you really show this when snow is falling in very cold temperatures. So I think it's a fantastic thing to show here. In the GFS, folks, it matches up well with the National Weather Service. In fact, it very, very well. There's not even really anything else to really speak on any different from here. But it wants to drop like 8 to 12 inches of snow in northern sections of Mississippi, which is only a few inches less than what the actual National Weather Service is showing for. Now, one thing you have to keep in mind is the Euro, not as much, but it still has that more favored area right in here for more snow. It likes this area and kind of central to south central Arkansas and northern Mississippi into western Tennessee. All right, this up here is what could potentially fall from the other system that we just talked about. So Pretty wild stuff, guys. It really is. And, we move into the eastern U.S. This is when the questions start to rise. And we'll start off again Monday morning, snow moving across Tennessee. This will be light, but already midday, lunchtime, Monday, you got snow pretty much overspreading almost the entire state of Tennessee, except maybe down in like the Chattanooga area. I do think you'll get snow in Chattanooga, but you're right on the fringe of heavier snow. Something we need to figure out. You got light snow overspreading all the way into southern Illinois, extreme southern sections of Indiana, snow across southern Kentucky. You even got the snow getting all the way into western Virginia. And I think, most model guidance likes this little extension out like this. And you keep going, and we'll take it all the way to about Monday evening. It's snowing pretty good in like northern Tupelo, northern Mississippi, Florence, Alabama. It looks like it's snowing in Huntsville. It's starting to snow in Chattanooga, even the Tennessee Valley. Typically, you're an area that gets kind of gypped in these, and just really any kind of winter weather setup. And not in this. If you can get the Arctic air to really get in there, and I think you will, you're going to even get accumulating snow in this also. And look at this heavier snow getting all the way into extreme southwest Virginia, southern Kentucky. Some light snow making its way into, and remember, the further north you are, the colder it is. So even though you're only getting the light snow all the way up to Indianapolis, Evansville, it's accumulating on everything. It's very cold. But man, I can't get over this. And then you got the ice probably going on almost down in Jackson, certainly Shreveport. And you keep this going, and we go all the way to about the middle of the night, Monday night. It's about midnight, Monday night, and you got ice, you got freezing rain falling in Jackson. It's still snowing in northern Alabama. It's snowing pretty good across the Cumberland Plateau. Even starting to see a little bit of snow here in northern Georgia, upstate of South Carolina. Some cold air is trying to get in. But the moisture kind of dries up, folks. It looks kind of weird. And this is when the question marks really get going. You take it all the way to about Tuesday morning. You got just a big area of very light snow kind of scattered about across the Ohio Valley, the Appalachian range, basically riding the western spine of the Appalachian Mountains. You still got a wintry mix all the way down here in Alabama, Mississippi, very light. Light snow breaking out across the I-95 corridor from D.C., Baltimore, Philadelphia, New York, almost all the way up to Boston. All rain down here. Okay, and then what happens here Tuesday midday? Still snowing very lightly across this region. Moisture energy tries to phase together here, and you almost get like a big old storm of light snow across the northeast. All right, does anything get going? And then Tuesday afternoon, low finally pops here, and then you start to get moderate snow breaking out across Long Island, southern New England. We'll have to see how that happens. And it gets heavy out in southern New England, southeast Mass, and then it moves on off. But it's a miss as far as a big hit for the mid-Atlantic and the Northeast. But I'm telling you, if you're upset about this, just know the cold air ain't an issue. And we still got a day or two of flip-flopping to see if this trends into something more significant for the Northeast. And we're about to show you the GFS here in a second. But that was the European model, okay? And I will break down really quick. If you're wondering in Georgia, South Carolina, most of North Carolina, most of Virginia, why this is rain, it's as simple as this. You got to get the cold air in here first, and we're not doing that. The Arctic boundary really stalls into here. I wish I had my thing to draw on, but I don't. It stalls out into here. All right, and it finally pushes in after this. All the energy's gone, but it stalls out here, and I think the mountains and just the fact that it's just not favorable timing really kind of work against us in this setup, and therefore we just get rain. And by the time the cold air kind of moves in, the rain's gone, the moisture's gone. So I've said it many times, 9 times out of 10, cold air chasing moisture does not work east of the Appalachian Mountains. It rarely ever does. Now, folks, west of the Appalachian Mountains, Tennessee, Kentucky, the deep south, even Alabama, Mississippi, Arkansas, it can work until the cows come home. But man, once you get east of the Apps, it's so hard. You got to pop a low off the east coast to make it happen. GFS, more aggressive. It's much heavier snow getting into eastern Tennessee, eastern Kentucky. And you get a several hour period of pretty heavy snow falling in very cold temperatures. It'll add up pretty quick in these areas. You get into the middle of the night, Monday night, you're getting all the way into Tuesday morning. You got the wintry mix. Now, the GFS brings more wintry weather into like Birmingham. You're getting an icy mix Tuesday morning down here. I think that this will happen. I really do. And then you're getting a wintry mix all the way down here to like Jackson. I mean, almost getting all the way down to Baton Rouge. And look at the light snow breaking out across D.C., Baltimore, New York, Philadelphia. You got just an area of light snow over this area. This tells me that there's pieces of energy trying to connect here, but they're just not quite doing it. And folks, I mean, we get all the way to about Tuesday midday. You're starting to get some moisture switching to freezing rain as this cold air is starting to get closer to Atlanta. That's something to watch for. And then, is the GFS going to do it here? Is it going to form something? The GFS has something interesting here, in my opinion. Doesn't really do much with this. I mean, it snows out on Cape Cod, Nantucket, Martha's Vineyard, but it doesn't really connect further inland. But watch what the GFS does here. It pops another low, throws just about enough moisture back into the Delmarva region, areas of Virginia. Hampton Roads is an area so many people mention in Virginia. I remember when people started talking about Hampton Roads, I'm like, dude, what is Hampton Roads? Is that a road? And or is it a town? Is it an area? And finally I looked it up on Google and I was like, okay, that makes sense. It's basically just kind of an area. But that is one place that people mention by far the most in Virginia is Hampton Roads. Like, what's it going to do in Hampton Roads, So I had to actually do some research on that. But, the latest GFS throws some snow Wednesday morning, late Tuesday night, all the way back to Charlotte, upstate South Carolina, certainly northeast North Carolina. Sort of pops this low, and that is something we need to watch. And that's why we still need to watch the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast for a bigger system, because it pops that low right there. That secondary low gets going, throws some moderate snow all the way even into Southeast Virginia. So, Norfolk, Virginia Beach, Richmond, I wouldn't say you're out of the game with this. Snowfall accumulations, here's kind of an extended east version of what I just showed you with Arkansas. Look at Tennessee, folks. They're already calling for 3 to 4 inches of snow, well, about 2 to 3 inches of snow in Nashville. Chattanooga, I know they're not calling for much right now, but that could change. Only like 0.2 of an inch of snow. That could change. Knoxville looks like you got a couple inches of snow in there. And then look at Memphis, folks. I can't get over that. I mean, I'm trying not to be jealous. I'm trying just to be happy. And I am happy for you folks. But man, 7, 8 inches of snow, of dry snow, I mean, you guys got to ship me at least 1 inch of snow here in Columbia. But I know I got faith that something's going to happen later in the winter. I do. I really, really do. I think it'll happen in February for my folks here in Georgia and the Carolinas. Just hold strong, be happy for everybody else, and stay positive, and we're going to reel one in. But anyways, we're not talking about that. But this is the National Weather Service forecast of snow. All right, what about freezing rain? Starting to get some of that glaze getting a little bit deeper into Mississippi, but you got like 1/10 of an inch of ice forecast already for northern Louisiana. What about like some of these model guidance? What about the European model? All right, this is in 24-hour kind of increments here. And then look at this, they like the idea of that heavy 6 to 8 inches of snow in northern Mississippi. And folks, I wouldn't say this is a forecast, but at the end of the day, you can. If you start to see the National Weather Service forecast those amounts, go on and hold them to it. I mean, it's a forecast from them. I don't blame you. But, you can see how it's favoring the Cumberland Plateau, too. I got a buddy who lives in the southern Cumberland Plateau. We talk a lot on social media. I mean, he could really score from this. I'm hoping he does. But you keep this going, snow. But you see what happens here. It gets all the way to southern West Virginia, eastern Kentucky, western Virginia. Nice signal here in southeast Kentucky. And then it just really drops off and gets really scattered everywhere. Right? It pops another signal here as we're getting midway next week into southern New England, and then it kind of fades away. What about the GFS? This is what's interesting, right? GFS, big signal in this narrow area, really favoring the National Weather Service with this. All right, look at this heavy snow into, eastern Tennessee, kind of the Tri-Cities region, western Virginia. I don't know about like Roanoke or Charlottesville with this. I think it just, you got to get some kind of load that pops off. You get into like, what is that? I think Berkeley, in southern sections of West Virginia, a few inches of snow showing up. And look at this. Look at the Tennessee Valley. Several inches of snow from the GFS from the GFS run, not the ensemble run. And look at this very thin area of like 6 to 9 inches of snow in this area right here. And then what is it going to do up here? Not a whole lot, but watch how it pops a low right here. And then you get a signal for a couple inches of snow in like Virginia and Northeast North Carolina, something to watch. It is. So that's the updated information for that. After all this, folks, this is the National Weather Service forecast for temperatures. Brutal cold air. We're already going to wake up tomorrow morning with temperatures that, are well below zero from northern Kansas points north. I mean, areas of like, you're probably going to hit zero tomorrow for a low in Denver, and then just bone-chilling air up here. It's going to be a pretty cold night. I mean, below average temperature-wise for low temperatures for tomorrow morning, but this is nothing compared to what you're going to see. We're starting to get into Sunday morning. The first real shot of Arctic air moves in, very cold, and then it moderates a little bit Monday morning. And then as this winter weather's moving in, you got snow on the ground at this point, probably Tuesday morning across Arkansas, areas of Oklahoma. This really helps to make the temperatures even lower, waking up to the single digits almost for the entire state of Arkansas. You're waking up to almost the teens down here in Houston, low 20s in Corpus Christi, single digits in Dallas-Fort Worth, probably below zero in Amarillo, almost the single digits all the way to San Antonio, single digits in Memphis. And once again, just another very cold morning. Look at these single digits all the way into the deep south. Just ridiculous. And, another way to look at this, here it goes across the eastern U.S. I think the coldest morning will by far be Wednesday morning across the eastern U.S., where temperatures west of the Appalachian Mountains. You can see it well here. You can actually tell where the Appalachian Mountains are. You got some really cold nights for Wednesday morning, in the teens, low 20s. That's pretty cold. But you get west of the Apps, folks, single digits for lows. It's a different ball game. It's a different kind of cold. It's brutally cold. So hope that helps you guys. We'll continue to feed you folks updates. I am excited for you guys. I'm excited to talk about snow for the South, winter weather. But hoping here in the future we do reel one in for the Southeast, because if I'm being completely honest with you guys, it's a totally different ball game. It kind of adds more energy to these videos when you're breaking down a winter storm for your own neck of the woods, that's for sure. And I know I have a lot of viewers here in the Carolinas, Georgia. That's kind of where I started, was the Carolinas. So I am really hoping we can kind of do what we did in January of 2022, right when my channel really took off, and really reel in a big winter storm sometime soon for us folks, and we can reel one in while maybe everybody else can reel one in too. But that's all I got. God bless all y'all. Have a great Friday night, and I'll talk to you in the morning.